Righto, Tellio. Now, on the weekend, I got the chance to ride the Multistrada V4S. Wolf. What an amazing bike, and yeah, Ducati West Melbourne put on a ride event in the Yarra Valley. Bravo, good job. So it was nice to take these bikes out in an environment where most people will sort of take these bikes touring, etc. And I say bikes because I actually got to ride the Desert X as well, and that's another video coming up. But if you know my channel, you might know last video I rode the BMW GS, the 1250 GS. That was an amazing bike too, and I will make a video comparing the two, and it was good that I got to ride them so close together. But in this video I just want to talk about this Multistrada V4S, and I'll give you the opinion of the pillion too, because I got to ride it with the pillion as well. So my overall impressions are, wow, this really is the one bike to sort of rule them all. This could be your one bike garage, it could replace your sports bike, your adventure bike, a bit of off-roading, touring, whatever you want to do, this bike can do it. And I got to be honest with you here, right now at this current moment, given that BMW have a new model coming out, we'll see what happens there, but it's really hard to match this for the features and what this has, the power, the sports handling, just as an overall package, it's really hard to beat this thing. And first I'll get what the pillion thought out of the way. Now, pillion loved it, got a thrill from the ride, they really enjoyed that. When you have a pillion, you got to, up the preload. I was purposely going over big bumps. She said she can feel them a little bit, but I got to tell you, from my perspective, it took up those bumps like so well. Like obviously compared to my Street Fighter, yeah, there's no comparison, right? It took up the big bumps. I was purposely going over, just hitting them. The ride was really good, and that was in touring mode. I did try it in sports mode as well. She noticed some wind noise, a bit of buffeting. Now apparently this is fixed in the V4 Rally, so the new V4 coming out. So that's a new model Multistrada that should be at your dealers very soon. You can order them now. That's supposed to fix the buffering and gets a bigger tank, longer travel suspension, and just tweaks here and there. So she really enjoyed it. The passenger really enjoyed it, liked it. And then we went on the Desert X, right? The passenger was on the back. She done the old gladiator, right? So when I got off the Multistrada, the thumbs up. And then with the Desert X, it was the thumbs down, right? She didn't like that one. That was a bit rough. The first to second gear, a bit harsh, a bit more vibes in the pegs, but she loved the Multistrada. Now for me, there actually was some vibrations in the Multistrada too at a certain RPM. If you hold it at like a highish RPM, which you really wouldn't be sitting at that RPM, because usually those sort of RPMs is when you're starting to give it to the bike, and you'll usually be changing to a gear at that sort of point. But there was a corner where I was sort of stuck in between, well, there's no point shifting down, I can't go down, and the corner's coming up and I'm not shifting up, right? And there was vibes in the pegs I could feel at that sort of RPM. An RPM you're not going to be at that much, but just thought I'd note it. And these are new bikes and that should smooth out over time. Other than that, the bike is silky smooth, like it is really nice and smooth. The engine and drivetrain, wow. Quick shifter is on another planet compared to the BMW. It's not even close. I'm not going to compare it to the BMW. No, sorry. The quick shifter is just amazing. It's class leading. It is killer. The engine is out of this world, especially for an adventure bike. Now, I have a Street Fighter V4, and that thing is just hyperspace, and that top end is just insane. This is like riding the Street Fighter up to around 10,000-11,000 RPM. More than enough power, and in terms of adventure bikes, it is warp speed for an adventure bike. It is sports bike power with that gearbox, a killer combination, nice and smooth, all the power you want, all the thrills you want. You're going to be excited to ride this bike. Here's the deal, I had a pillion, right? I could not even tell half the time I had a pillion until I sort of stopped and I had to put my foot down like, oh hey, I got a passenger. That's how good this motor is. On the Desert X, when I was going up on the hill, it wasn't like the motor was labouring, but I could feel it working to pull the pillion. The V4 on this, with the pillion, I couldn't even tell. So it really pulls this motor, such a good drivetrain. Now the brakes and handling, brakes are amazing. Of course, they're Brembo Stylema. The back brake, a lot of people say it's mushy. They fixed that with the V4 Rally. I didn't notice the back brake being that bad, but I hardly ever use the back brake that much. I mean, I do use it, but I don't slam it. So yeah, it's got awesome brakes. It's just, wow, sports bike sort of brakes there, and the handling is sports bike, especially when you put it in sports mode. I even had a pillion on. I was still going pretty hard on this thing, and handling and brakes are just amazing. As you would expect, being a Ducati, the build quality is top of the class there. Fit and finish is awesome. We did have the grey ones. I'm not a big fan of the grey ones. The red one's good. The new V4 Rally looks good. The grey one there with the, you know, the aluminium tank. But it was superb there. Now, it is expensive. I sort of do believe that Ducatis are worth a little bit more, because you just go through the components. Say, for example, you compare it to a GS. I don't know what brakes they use. They're probably Nissan or something. They're probably cheaper. Usually on Ducatis, they use the higher specs. Their components usually cost a bit more on the Ducati. They don't sort of settle there. You can sort of see where it goes. It's like way advanced more than any other sort of adventure bike, with all the radar and adaptive cruise and, you know, the electronic suite. But I don't think the Delta is really justified. I think it's worth more, but this much more when you sort of spec it out compared to a, you know, a GS, I would say, yeah, value for money, it's okay. So overall, I just am very impressed with this bike. So impressed, I'm actually thinking of getting one. I don't know if I'm going to get a GS or I'm going to get this, but so far I'm thinking maybe a V4 Rally. I think with the V4 Rally, they fixed some of the things that are wrong with this sort of Multistrada V4S. They've done the brakes. They've addressed the heat issue, which wasn't an issue. It was pretty cold the day we rode, but apparently the passenger can feel the heat with the V4, the current V4S. With the new one, they've sort of addressed that heat. They've addressed some of the turbulence for the passenger, so you get a bigger screen, you get, you know, better aerodynamics, so the passenger should be more comfortable, less buffeting, less wind noise, etc. More room for them on the seat there, longer travel suspension, bigger fuel tank, so economy's not really a worry with the V4 Rally. And I think it looks a bit better too. So I think if I was going to get one, I'll get the V4 Rally. And comparing that to the GS Adventure, yeah. See, here's the thing, right? I'll do another video on that. No, I'll do another video on that. Which one would you go for though? Anyway, catch you in the next one.